Hello, I am Stephanie Giesecke with Sparkle Rise Thrive. Wait, you're probably wondering why I have this purple hair little, I was gonna say helmet on, but my little purple hair wig. So we're talking about purposeful content creation today, and I know sometimes creating content can make you just feel crazy. And I'm here to help you with that today. But with my wig, I want to know in the comments, tell me, do you feel frazzled or do you feel fine? You got your content, you know what you're doing. So let me know, do you feel frazzled or do you feel fine? In the meantime, I'm gonna take off my little purple wig here, try to fluff up my hair. But so today, talking about purposeful content creation, I am going to show you this model that I have been using for, oh goodness, over 10 years. Probably be 15 years. I used it in my corporate roles as well as the past 10 years as an entrepreneur. And I'm gonna share it with you today, and I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. This model can be used for so many different applications. You can use it for creating your social media content. You can use it for creating your programs or services. You can use it for creating your marketing or your sales campaigns. You can do it all with this. And it's what it really does is like really focus you in on what the purpose is of your content and then how you're going to deliver that content. Okay, so are you guys ready for this? Let me show you the model. All right, so here's the model, and I need to explain something here. So it might not make sense when you just first look at it, but at the very top, I show you what you try to think about your content creation, what the purpose is of the content creation, and then or your content. And then at the bottom, think of the strategy. And I put it in this linear fashion, but I don't want you to think it is a step 1, step 2, step 3. That's not what this is. I have chain links so you can see that it's all interconnected, but you can move these chain links around. You can work on part of your purpose, work on the strategy, and just keep bouncing back and forth. And I'll give you some examples of how to do that in a minute. So let's take a look at this a little closer up. So if we look at the purpose section, this is really what you want to do. So when you think of your content, think of that piece of content that you want to create, and think of who you're creating it for, and then kind of answer these questions. Is what do you want them to know? So what is it about this content that you want them to know? Then ask, how do you want them to feel, or what do you want them to feel? Do you want them to feel excited? Do you want them to feel inspired? Do you want them to feel like they can go and take action? Or on the flip side, do you want them to feel more calm? So think about how you want your client or your audience to feel when they see this piece of content. Then what do you want them to hear? So if you have, with your branding, if you have certain brand words or certain words or phrases that you're always using with your brand, what do you want them to actually hear? And then the last part with the purpose is, what do you want them to do? So this is where you think of your call to action. When they look at this piece of content, if it's a program, if it's a social media post, if it's a video, what do you want them to do after they watch the video or after they see the post? Think about what you want them to actually do. Okay, so now that we have our purpose defined, and again, this is kind of the overarching, what do you want them to, what do you actually want to do? So then looking down at the bottom of this model is the strategy. And there's 5 things in this strategy. And like I mentioned before, when you're thinking about the purpose and the strategy of your content, you can bounce back and forth. So like, let me explain the strategy piece, and then we'll talk about how you could bounce back and forth. But with strategy, think about the message. So what message are you trying to send to your audience? And it kind of ties into the second piece of, who is the audience for this piece of content? Is it for your ideal client? Is it for a certain target market? Do you have your target market segmented? Is it for a certain segment of your clients? Then think about the goal. So what objectives are you trying to achieve? What is the goal? How will you know if you're successful meeting that goal or meeting those objectives or those KPIs? Then think about the timing. So say you have a program that's launching in the summer. So do you need to create this content for that program? Is there a certain timing that you need to back up in preparation for the launch? Then you think about the medium. So when you're creating this content, what is the medium that you're going to use? What's the best way to reach this audience that you've identified in that second piece of your strategy? So is it a social media post? Is it a video? Is it a YouTube short? Is it a longer form YouTube video? Is it shorter video clips? Is it IGTV? Pinterest pins? I mean, it could be like even, I'm thinking LinkedIn. It could be anything. What is the best way to reach your audience? What is the best medium to reach that audience? Now, when I talked a little bit before about moving back and forth, sometimes I will think if there's a certain program that I know that I just going to target this one certain segment of my audience. So just targeting maybe the first time entrepreneurs. I will go onto the strategy section and say, okay, here's my audience. Here's how I'm defining this audience. Then I'll push myself back up into the purpose and then figure out that content of what do I want them to know, what do I want them to feel, what do I want them to hear, what do I want them to do, and then go back down into the strategy. So you can see how you can go back and forth, go from the purpose to the strategy, from the strategy to the purpose. Make it work for you and your business and your individual learning style or how you put things together. Sometimes, like me with my scatter brain, like I do like to jump back and forth, back and forth, back and forth between things. So I might want to identify the medium and then go back up and figure out, okay, am I really hitting at is this medium really going to hit on what I want them to know or feel? Is there a certain feeling that I want them to get out of this? So maybe it's a different kind of medium that I need to figure out. So that's the purpose, what do you want to do, strategy, how you're gonna do it, and again, I use this model for so many different things. Social media posts, my different programs that I'm creating, some summer seminar series that I'm putting together. So it kind of just helps you focus in and hone in on that purposeful content creation instead of just throwing things out, willy-nilly. I will mention too, if you want further information on purposeful content creation, I have on my podcast, it's called These 3 Things with Stephanie Giesecke. I have it on here. Episode 4 is having a disciplined content strategy. And my podcast is set up with, I interviewed a bunch of different entrepreneurs. I think there was about 34 interviews. And then I cut those interviews down and do some voiceovers, but everything is cut down into bite-sized pieces. So I have 3 things within each episode. So thing 1 for this one is establishing a clear purpose. Thing 2 is diving into YouTube, and then thing 3 is repurposing your content. So in that podcast episode, it talks, again, there's 3 little bite-sized chunks of how you can have a disciplined content strategy, and then those 3 things help you get to it. Thank you for joining me today. I will see you again next week for another fun discussion. See you later.